Alright, take two. Was on mute again. Today I wanted to go over some of the things that were asked in stream uh, of how I get away with doing some of these key clicks and organizational things that I do with like my OCD and my currency tabs mainly. And then I'm also going to talk about the issues of desync because I feel like it's an ongoing question that people are just ignorant to and they don't understand why. They just think it's shitty coding or game design flaw, or since it's it's an indie game or indie company that they just don't know what they're doing and it's really amateur when it's the exact opposite. But I'll go over that later in the stream. First, I wanted to go over what buttons I'm hitting to make my life easier when I go about organizing this shit. Okay, so a keybind that I'll use a lot to split my stacks like this is Shift, and when you want to do this, you want to do this with the right side of the keyboard because hitting Enter is just too far. So you're going to use the right Shift, and you're going to left click with your mouse, and then you're going to hit Enter. So you notice I can just do this fast with as many slots available instead of actually doing the one check mark and then dragging and dropping. So that's a very useful tip. And you ask, why do people do this? I see this a lot in people's streams. They'll just put orbs like this. It's so that it's guaranteed to fill where you want it, and it stays nice looking. It's easier to count. If you just were to left click everything, just say you're coming out of a map and you vendored, everything is going to look like it's just going to put everything wherever it wants, like the most convenient spot, not necessarily where you want it to go. So you just go around and it'll also fill up shards and fragments. I wish I had 20 alteration shards or over 20 to show you. And it'll just fill this into a 1. So I'm gonna just left click, and when you already have partial stacks, it'll autofill. But once it gets past 20, see, it puts it at the top. That's why people do this. Same thing with chaos. The stack is full, so because the stack is full, it's going to put it at the top. But if you were to put, like, let's say some fusings, and okay, so this would be the appropriate place to stick the fusing if the tab was not full, right? But since the tab has empty stacks of fusing, I just shift click, it goes to the next convenient spot that has an unfilled stack. It's kind of confusing, but that's the basic gist of why people do this. And I mean, it's nice. It's better than constantly having to rearrange your inventory and shit like that and drag and drop yourself manually. Alright, so that's the first one. That was one that was people were really curious of how I was doing it so fast with just like spreading the orb one by one like this. Alright, let's go to the next keybind. I have this all written down somewhere in a text file. Okay, another one that many people don't even know about is the reply. So when you play MMOs and you're used to hitting /R, and that's the automated go-to response for replying to somebody. In this game, it's not the case. This game has weird things like $ is trade, # is global. But in order to get a reply, you hit, so starting from nothing, like no enter box right here, you hit Shift or Control Enter. And the last person that sent me a tell was Oozband. It's a guy that I know. But you notice how it just automatically filled this name. If someone sends me a tell right now, I can show you it will switch the name just by hitting Control Enter. I didn't find this out until about 2.5 weeks ago. So you can see how alleviated I was just by, just the quality of life, making shit easier, especially when you're in the heat of the moment. Having to actually go to someone's name, right mouse click, whisper, this was complete AIDS. And I did this for almost a year, just right mouse clicking someone's name, and then I accidentally hit them add as friend or ignore. You know, when you're in a map, you try to get a response to be polite. You know, you want to get to them as soon as possible. So this is a very, very, I don't know, all my friends didn't know until 2.5 weeks ago too. So either we were just, you know, out of the mix, or, you know, this is just new to us. So the control enter is the reply command. This doesn't, yeah, it's huge. Like, Norris, if you could send me a tell, it'd be awesome. Like a PM in-game, under a hegemonic or a hegemony. So that tip alone, I mean, that should save a lot of your frustration that you have with this chat interface. So how do you detect something in a trade window? Ooze, are you busy? Who is Ooze? So whenever you're going to trade, or you just want to find out a little bit more information of what someone's doing, what level they are, and what league they're in, you can type in who is, and it's just like StarCraft BattleNet. This was a common command that everyone used to do, just to get an idea of who you're dealing with, and if they even know, you know, what the fuck is going on. So let me try to see if I can add somebody. Somebody send me a tell and invite me. Or send me a tell and I'll invite you, and then we'll do a little demo of how to detect item level during a trade and how to detect item level in a trade chat. So while we wait for someone to send me a tell, I'll go ahead and show you how to detect item level through this trade without even having to ask the person. So this Quill Rain is a very popular item. Low B, but people don't like it when you can't 5-socket or even 6-socket it. Mostly, you know, people want 6-socket at the minimum because there's just so many going around. So what do is you hit Control C and then you hit Control V in your chat screen. Okay, well okay, so here we go. So I hit that, and then I can see all of its stats in text format, and I can see the item level. So this bow is item level 48. Automatically, this comes from that one automatically can be 6-socketed. So you want to know if something was found. It's mainly with uniques that this is a problem, and it can be 5-socketed or 5-socketed, 6-socketed, or even 4-socketed. Because you could get stuck with Malagaros that can only 3-socket because they're low, and they're all used by like end game builds. So Control C, Control V will tell you in text format what item level something is. And say something's in trade chat and you'll be like, yo, you need to get this Harbinger bow. It's fucking in trade chat. Some guy's selling it. They'll be like, oh, can you link it to me? Can I see it? I don't have the item, so I can't link it to you. False. Control C, link it to a party. Okay, I'm not in party chat. Okay, thanks. Alright, so now Split Monkey's interested in this Harbinger bow. I can post it to him in chat and he can see the stats. It's not very pretty, but it'll get the job done. It's item level 74, crit chance. I mean, he can take the time and look at it without me having to have the actual item in my hand. So this becomes a very, very useful tool as far as knowing what you're buying without having to even communicate with them. I do this all the time. Okay, so now we're gonna go and trade. Let's go to Act 1 normal. So the guy says he has a show me a chest. Yeah, I just want to get people to have a visual. Yeah, that's actually the command I wanted them to see. So he's gonna put something in the trade window, and then I'm gonna hold Alt, and then I can toggle the item level, so you can make sure you're not getting screwed. And if you want to craft it, if you buy like a white 5 link, this is a very important stat that they don't give you, that you have to work for, I guess, by hitting Alt. So you can see hovering Alt over the item tells you the item level. Must have. Alright, so that, thank you very much. Alright, so now we've gone over the the reply command, the copy and paste of uniques and rares as a text command, trade. Okay, we've done the trade window. Control Alt left click. Okay, so Control Alt left click, that's easy. That's just the beginner thing. How to link an item in trade or whatever thing you choose. Control left clicking in stash. Pretty you know, getting into your stash and going backwards. Okay, so yeah, this fucked it up right here because I didn't fill this entire thing. It put it in these incomplete stacks. That's very annoying for me. So I'm gonna go back and fix this shit. Sorry, my OCD really kicks in when this kind of shit happens. I don't let it happen. That's the first thing. Alright, going back. Alright, so here's a tip that may keep you alive. Not many people know this, but I'll go ahead and show you guys. And this has to deal with logging out. Everyone wonders, or not everyone, I guess the people that are really care about this game and really care about dying, mainly hardcore players, will wonder, what is the quickest way to log out? Alt F4ing is actually kind of slow. We're going to go ahead and watch this YouTube clip of some guy testing it. 3 different types of logging out and which one actually logs out the quickest. So you notice here he's using exit to character selection. He's getting 0.601 601 milliseconds, which is over half a second until he actually logs out. I've tested this myself, so this is sound. 0.64 was his next trial. Now he's going to switch it up. This is Alt F4ing. This one's still to character screen. 0.6. It's over half a second on average. Exit to login. This is actually way faster. 0.167. It's much faster, by 3 to 4 times as fast, to go to the login screen than it is to go to your character selection. You stay in game about 0.36 to 0.4 seconds longer, and it's even longer when you log out. When you log out, it's like a second and some change. So if you are having to decide whether or not you want to either use a macro or click, go to the login screen. It's much quicker than exiting and much quicker than character selection. Hopefully that's enough to keep you alive in the shittiest of shitty situations. When shit gets heated, you want to be out of there like as soon as possible. Okay, so the next thing is a very common thing, is when you're trying to find somebody, control clicking, looking for their name and entering their zone, or even creating a new instance. This is more for the noob. Most people already know this one, but I figure it's worth mentioning. You know, hitting new, creating a new instance, doing the thing over and over again. But mainly it's used for finding people to make trades. Okay, now we're going to get into the topic of why a lot of people hate this game, and they feel like it's Desync just ruins it for them. But I've been playing this game a long time. A lot of my friends have been playing this game for a long time, and I can tell you, Desync, you can work around it. You can know what to expect and how to combat it. So some of the issues I'm going to talk about will help you combat it, and then the other stuff is going to explain why it exists. So what Desync is and why it exists is because it helps the integrity of the game And what I mean by that is it's more like anti-cheat. Since everything is calculated on the server side, it makes it a lot harder to someone make a program like we all know of Demon Buddy, which ran rampant and ruined the economy in Diablo and made the game pretty much unfun for most people. Uh, Cheating and automation and client-side calculations leads to more uh, easier easier obstacles or whatever of making more advanced botting programs that automatically recalculate. I mean, if you've seen YouTube and you've seen some of those bots run, those things can play better than most players. It makes calculations so quick, adjusts, you know, makes the appropriate moves, uses the appropriate abilities, and recalculates. That doesn't exist in Poe. It's much harder. I mean, Poe, people still bot in Poe. That's no secret. There are still botters that they ban on a daily basis, but it's much harder. They have to resort to botting in mud flats or hillock or just fucking running hundreds of counts and just botting those low B zones, and that's because this game doesn't let them get so advanced in their code, like their botting code, because of desync. It's like cock blocking them from being so successful at botting those high zones and just getting insane gear and shit like that. So if you like the anti-cheat aspect of the game and keeping the economy good and whatever, then you should be praising desync. And another reason why the game desync exists is the game does multiple checks. Because this game has a complex combat system with projectiles that you can actually evade. They're not direct damage like Diablo. Like in Diablo, if you throw a range spell at a target, your mouse is over that thing. It does a client-side calculation. You have successfully targeted that mob, casting this ability, and it's gonna go off, regardless. In this game, it does multiple checks. So your client side interacts with the server side, and they agree upon what's actually happening. It's a constant, push-pull relationship, but it allows the game to have mechanics like stun, and like if you wear a Chayula and have unwavering stance, you'll notice a lot less desync because the stun mechanic will make you more prone to it because it will pause your character in a spot while you're running, and the predictive text or the predictive code gets kind of out of whack, and it just takes these small miscalculations that make that pile up, and then that'll make desync look really bad. So the worst case scenario, you desync and then the game will automatically resync you after like 6 seconds. Like if you just keep running or whatever and doing whatever you're doing. But as a hardcore player, as a Nemesis player, and most people know that out of sync command OOS is like a godsend. That is what helps you combat it, and I don't understand why it's not in the game as a keybind. I honestly think it's like if they're not going to give perfect code, or I shouldn't say perfect code, if they're not going to change the combat system that they have, then they should give you the tools that you need to combat the deficiencies. So you have the out of sync command, and then you have lag too. So as you can see, I'm in the Dallas Metroplex area, and that is where the North American Post server. Okay, I'm in towns that are kind of lagging, but I usually can flatline at 15 milliseconds. Alright, let's go to. You guys can see how low my ping is. But whenever you get ping spikes, there's a packet. The packets aren't being 100% sent and received. You can do stuff to test out your internet connection. I'll show you some good websites. So it might not be the client and server relationship that's causing your desync. It might just be packet loss that you're getting from your internet service provider. Whenever there's packet loss, you're going to have the predictive code fail. So I use sites like pingtest.net. It'll tell you your MS, or the quality of your line, measuring packet loss. it'll tell you your jitter. Now let's let this run for a little bit. And you can use also a program called MTR, and then you just MTR, and then when it asks you what URL do you want to test. Okay, 10 jitter, that's kind of high. I usually get around 0 to 7. I guess it's because I'm streaming that there's more jitter. I'm not sure. Ping is very low. But use MTR, win MTR, and that will tell you how much packet loss you have to the PO data center wherever you're connecting, whether it be the Singapore gateway, Dallas, North American gateway, or the European gateway. Truly put your line to the test and just don't blame the game for all your problems. Okay, so now how do we analyze what is actually desync and how, when I actually need to hit my combat macro. So whenever you go around and you have like an area like this, you want to avoid any area with obstacles and sharp corners, because the way the server and client side relationship exists is that it predicts where you're going to move, and it automatically recalculates, kind of like a GPS that would follow you, but it's got a predictive code to it that syncs you and tries to make the combat seem more fluid and the motion. So whenever you have the option, it's better to run in wide open areas that aren't clustered with a bunch of mobs. If you run into packs and you successfully make it to the other side, that is a good time to hit the resync command. When you are fighting a boss like Vale and he spawns right here, you always want to resync. When he starts moving, you want to resync. That boss is so fucking deadly that if you underestimate, his Vale smash, you're dead. That one I actually hit desync maybe about, or the OOS macro, about 5 times in a fight, maybe more, 5 to 10 times. Like, you constantly want to check to make sure where you are is where you say. Another thing that's huge in stopping what feels to be like desync is shift clicking. So instead of left clicking, running up to the mob and beating it in the face, you actually run to the spot, hold shift, and attack. This takes some getting used to. Like, most people aren't used to it, but it is a much safer route of attacking, especially when you're a ranged character and you're just right clicking on a spot trying to hit inside of a door. Sometimes the game will take it like you're either out of mana or whatever, and then you'll start running into a room. That's why people notice I'm running into a room. If you hold shift, it will hold your ground, so it won't force a location prediction move. That's why a lot of people will die, be like, what the fuck, desync, if they were holding shift. I made that mistake on Vale. Vale was over here on, like, as far as where I'm pointing, and I was over here turreting with my wand, but I wasn't holding shift. So somehow, some way, I ported all the way over here. I died, actually. I died when I was standing over here while Vale was over here. I got Vale smashed, and I was like, what the fuck? So when I died, I hit OOS, and then I ported right under Vale's feet. And I was with my friend Solushomes. He was watching this the whole time. He's like, yeah, dude, your character just walked up to Vale and just fucking died. And I was just like, are you kidding me? I was just sitting here turreting. So ever since that death, I've just been holding shift click when I'm, ranging, using that micro. It's an extra button to click, but it's a sure way to combat that. Okay. So I've gone over boss repositioning to hit it. Don't run through packs. If you have to run through packs, make sure you hit it after to make sure you successfully got out of it. Because any kind of collision detection or obstructable will cause more desync. Don't take tight turns around corners. Like this. You see how I'm making a sharp turn like this? You want to make wider movements, because that will prevent you from desyncing, because the predictive code will have a much easier time guessing where you actually are and where you're going. So a lot of times when you're walking in those narrow areas, like and hugging the rocks, you're gonna feel desync, or it's gonna lose sync of where you are and try to guess, and then you're gonna be like, what the fuck? So if possible, walk in the wider areas. Um, yeah, always check out your packet loss. I mean, I can't really play like this with this shit always going, but when I start lagging, I definitely turn it on because I need to see what's going on with my internet connection. It's there's something here that really bothers me. It covers. I think maybe the debuff timers. Yeah, I think like if you have puncture or shock stack, this line over here will cover it. And you have like a lot of auras. You want to see your immortal call timer, your endurance charge timer. It's obstructed by this thing. I wish you could move this, but it's not a feature currently in the game. Turn off your torrents. I have also died because I lagged so hard, and when I went to go see, I was uploading a video for like 800 kilobytes a second. It was just like eating up my upload, up and down, spiking. Turn off your torrents. That's a stupid way to die. Make sure when you play this game, you turn that shit off or pause it. I would just turn it off in general because you don't want to get in the habit of forgetting and lose your character because of it. Alright, so if you want more material about understanding the science and the direction of desync, here is a thread. The number is 710359. It was actually posted a long time ago by Chris, but you know when it comes up in a theme video, it gets redundant. The guy doesn't love the game as much as we do, so he's not going to do the research, and he's just going to complain about it and ask him, "Are you going to fix this problem? Are you going to fix this problem?" You know, it's quite depressing, I would say. Like I would not ask Chris a question that he's already answered in depth. But here's the thread. That is like pretty much the longer version of what I've gone over. It's said by Chris himself, and you can see in other interviews he talks about it. It's something that they chose as designers to make the game fun and the combat interesting. It's not to pester you with mechanics that represent poor programming. It's yeah, I mean the game is fun. You like this game because of the way they designed the combat. That's the bottom line. And you guys should do your part and let other people know how to avoid desync, how to not be a victim of desync. All these tips, spread the word. Fucking, it's knowledge is power. It'll keep you alive, and that's how a lot of Nemesis players are able to succeed. Always when you're running away from a volatile, that's another good time to hit desync. On average, I say I hit the out of sync macro 5 to 6 times in one map. So it's something I use a lot. Bind it to something useful like tilde. My keybind's tilde. It's very accessible. It's one of those things that you can't just not hit and not or fat finger something else. I bind my item level macro to F2, so you notice I can just pick up an item and it'll show me in chat what item level it is. And when I'm crafting and when I'm organizing my stash, I always organize by item level and what I want to what stats and attributes I'm going for when I'm rolling stuff. No, he didn't make a video about desync. He interviewed Chris Wilson himself and just telling him how his game was like inferior to Diablo. And it's just I'm trying to set the record straight with what Athene did, and I'm gonna do a much more appreciative interview with Chris Wilson. They're gonna be hard as shit questions, but you should look forward to watching it, and it'll come sometime mid-January of next year. I'll put the date and all that stuff on my channel. Right now it's about 23 questions. I might add some more. I don't want to take too much of his time, but he's gonna have fun doing it. Ox and I are gonna have fun. It's gonna be the first time that Ox and Chris meet. Like you guys think that Chris and Ox are like buddies and always like they communicate through text and emails. That's the extent of it. This will be the first time they actually talk to each other. They got that bromance going on. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, even if you played this game for a long time. I apologize if you didn't learn anything and I wasted your time, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.